Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the monkey with the wrench. Normally we work on lawnmowers here. If you've been to my channel, you know this. I work on everything lawnmower, pressure washer, chainsaw, weed whacker, and such. But we're gonna do a different kind of project. I bought this Kawasaki Vulcan 800 Classic. Oh, I don't know, a little over a year ago. And it ran. Well, it didn't run. It would start. The engine's fine, but the carburetor needed to be rebuilt. And I bought a rebuild kit for it, and I pulled it apart, and it turns out that someone had been in the carburetor before me, and when they attempted to remove the float, they busted the arms that hold the float. Now there is zero way to fix that, none whatsoever. Believe me, there is none. So I looked up a new carburetor, and at the time, which was about 10 months ago, somewhere early 2021, they wanted over $500 for a new carburetor. And I said, there's no damn way I'm spending 500 bucks on a carburetor. It's a single barrel carburetor. It's a ridiculous price, and there's just no way. So I kept my eyes out on eBay, trying to find a used one. And normally that's not a bad way to go. You can usually find it if you check. Like I checked every day for like 4 months. And the problem since then, now we're in June of 2022, these carburetors are now $850 instead of $500. And some places want as much as $1,300 for a carburetor. And I'm talking $850 used. That's not happening. I'm not spending 850 bucks on a carburetor and then having to buy a rebuild kit and rebuild it. It's not happening. So what I found was that on this bike, I can use a compatible carburetor. Excuse me. Believe it or not, you can use a Harley Davidson KV40 carburetor. It fits on half dozen different Harley Davidsons. And it's basically the same carburetor. And because there's so many Harleys on the road, they're cheap. In fact, I ordered one, or I'm about to order one, for $53. Less than half of 100 bucks. $53. And the only thing I'm going to have to do to it is the throttle cables attach differently. So I'm going to have to modify how my throttle hooks up. But the carburetor should be fine. So that's going to be a future video. I know for a fact that this thing runs. I've had it running. I rigged the original carburetor just to get it to run. Of course, it leaked fuel like a son of a bitch, because the float was broken, but I did get it to run. It ran for, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes. So I know we're good. Now it's been sitting out here for, I don't know, 9 months or so. But I don't expect any problems with the engine. I don't expect any problems with the major systems. So what I originally was going to do when I got it, the paint was all messed up. And just for the heck of it, I am a big truck bed liner fan. So I bought the cheap stuff from Walmart. It was kind of rusted in spots, and I didn't prep this in any way. I bought a $6 can of it, the cheapest stuff, and I just sprayed it. And that was, I don't know, 9 or 10 months ago. And it's been out here, just sitting out here. Right over there, actually. Getting sun on it every day, getting rained on. Just now took a hose in my hand to wipe it clean a little bit there, as opposed to what it looked like there. And I've done this before. Now, I did my entire pickup truck with Raptor liner by U-Pole, and I will stand by that till the day I die. That is the most awesome stuff on the market, and it was like 150 bucks to do my whole truck. I have used the cheap stuff from Walmart, and I painted another truck that I had, an old Explorer, and I didn't prep it or anything. I just sprayed the crap out of it with like 6 of those cans. And it lasted like 3 years before any rust started showing through. It never chipped off or anything. So the idea behind this bike was I got it cheap. And I don't know, I bought it like I said, maybe a year and a half ago. I got it cheap. And I thought, okay, I'll fix the carburetor, I'll throw it back together, I'll give it a quick paint job, and it'll be fine. And when the carburetor, you know, started at $500 and now they're $800, $900, I was just gonna try and get back out of it what I paid for it. But I thought, you know what, that's not the right thing to do. You don't just pass on a problem to somebody else, especially when this thing runs fine. It sounds great, there's no issues with it, starts right up. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna work on the tank. Now I've already started sanding it just so I could see what it was gonna take. I thought about using some liquid paint stripper, the aircraft stripper, to strip it. But in all of my past experiences, that's what the tank looked like before I touched it. In all of my past experiences, using truck bed liner is easy and it's very forgiving. All you have to do is take some sandpaper and rough it up. Give the truck bed liner something to grab onto. So in this case, I'm using some 100 grit sandpaper. And I'm about to head up to the store. You can buy cheaper Herculiner. I forget who all makes it. There's 2 or 3 brands at Walmart. They're cheap brands. You know, I've used them before for stuff that doesn't matter. Like I sprayed the rack I built for the back of my bike with that stuff. And it holds up fine, but I scratched the crap out of it. I strapped weed eaters to it and everything else. But AutoZone, or one of the auto parts stores, I don't remember, they sell Raptor liner by U-Pole in a can. Now it's about 20 bucks a can, but 1 can will do this job. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give this thing a good sanding. Like I said, this is 100 grit. So you can see all the scratches and whatnot. This is the outside paint. Then there's a primer. Then there's the metal of the tank. I am not taking it down to bare metal. I am just going to sand off all the imperfections. I'm going to start with the 100 grit. Then I'm going to switch to 250 probably. There's water spots and all kinds of stuff. But there's no... looks like maybe somebody had some Bondo right there. But there's no dents or anything in the tank. So all I'm gonna do is the top side of the tank, you know, go around here and then go around the bottom. And I'm gonna sand this thing up. I'm gonna wipe it down with some degreaser and we're gonna spray it with some truck bed liner. I'm gonna spend the 20 bucks and get the U-Pole brand because I love that stuff. And we're going to see how this thing comes out. So I'm not going to show you the whole sanding process, but I'll show you what it looks like after I've sanded it. Okay, I just want to show you the difference between it being sanded and it not being sanded. This is some sort of an epoxy type of paint. It's real thick and kind of rubbery. So what I did was I sanded until the little particles, they were still globbing up, and they look like almost like a pencil eraser. If you erase a piece of paper a lot, you get all those pieces. So I just sanded it until all those pieces stop coming, and now all I get is a little bit of dust. Everything's nice and smooth, and this paint will even cover up little problems like that. And basically just roughing it up, getting it smooth, getting the old top coat of paint off. I'm gonna do the other half the same exact way, and then we're gonna spray it with some U-Pole Raptor liner, which is my favorite. There's no other prep that's needed for this stuff. It sticks to anything. A buddy of mine and me just did a go-kart for his grandson. It's on my channel. We sprayed it with that. I've done trucks with it, bed liners, lawnmower decks, and this stuff lasts and it clings to everything, and all the little sanding marks that you may see, they'll all disappear because this is a nice thick coating. So just give it a good sanding. I'm gonna do the other half of it, and then we're gonna spray it down. Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder in the background or not, but it is about to rain, probably in the next hour or so. But I wanted to show you. You can see the 3 different colors. We've got, you know, bare metal. We've got this light gray as a primer, and then the black was some kind of an epoxy coating or something. Basically, I was able to sand off any marks, any spots, anything like that. And this stuff is really forgiving, so you don't have to be afraid to put it on as long as there's no flies stuck to it. Just make sure that everything you want to paint is scuffed up, sanded. This stuff pretty much hides a lot of different blemishes and stuff. So I just stuck a rag in there so we don't get anything inside the tank. I, of course, took off the fill cap, and I'm just painting the top side. So let me show you what I'm using. This is called Raptor liner. It's made by a company called U-Pole. I have used this as 2-part epoxy before, where you take the paint and a hardener that you add to it, and you use an air gun on a compressor to put it on. And I have also used this in spray can form before, both with good luck. Obviously, the 2-part epoxy that you put on with the air compressor is a lot better than spray paint from a spray can, but for our purposes this stuff is actually really good. Make sure it's shook up really well. I shook it for about 5 minutes already, and you want to put a light coat on there, give it about 10 minutes to dry, and you just want to keep putting light coats on. You want to stay about 12 inches away. You want to make sure there's no breeze, you know, between breezes do it. And you want to coat it. Doesn't matter how many coats you put on, just give about 5-10 minutes between coats. This stuff will build up on top of itself, and it'll stick to anything. So in this case, I got a rubber grommet here where the fuel tank attaches to the bike. I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm going to spray right over it. So just put it on. Make sure you use wide strokes. You're definitely not going to cover it. It's not like when you're spray painting something and you go, oh well, I want to hit all of this at the same time. You just want to do nice light coat. The farther away from the material you are, the more texture you'll get. So just go in different directions. And spray it on there. And don't be afraid of it. And you'll see, hopefully I'll be able to show you, that this covers up all kinds of blemishes and scratches. You won't see any of the sandpaper marks, anything like that. And like I said, you're going to do several coats. So just do light coats. This can, I literally just bought it from the auto parts store. And it was 18 bucks. It was $20.32 with tax. And this will put 3, 4, 5 coats on this tank. This is a pretty decent sized tank. I've seen much smaller tanks. So this stuff covers pretty well. And you see I'm not really shooting in any one area very long. Because the trick to this is light coats and build it up. Now I've done this so many times that you probably saying that doesn't look like too light of a coat, but I didn't spray very long in any one spot. What I was looking for was just a nice light coat from a distance. I don't know if you can see the texture on that. I'm trying to move it around here so that you can see that it has some texture and that you're not going to see the sandpaper marks. And that's the point. And this will stick to anything, trust me. The first time I used it was on a Ford Explorer I had, and I just bought a couple of cans of it and sprayed it on. Didn't wash the truck, and the truck probably hadn't been washed in 3 years I was driving it. And I said, well, let me see what it sticks to. I didn't tape anything off. Man, I didn't clean it. I didn't even wash it. I just took those cans and went, well, even if it only lasts for a month or two, it'll look better. And it stuck to that truck for 2 years before I sold it to my brother. And he drove it, and you could see where some of the rust was coming through on the hood because it got extra hot and the sun was on it. You could see that after 2 years. But the rest of it stuck and never came off. And honestly, that was the cheaper stuff. Then I graduated to Raptor liner by U-Pole. I did my whole Ford Ranger in this stuff, but again, I bought that as the 2-part epoxy that you apply with an air gun with the air compressor, and that was beautiful. I do this all the time. So I'll show you after I put on another coat. I'll probably end up putting on at least 3 coats of this and letting it dry for about 10 or 15 minutes in between each coat. And this stuff is going to last a long time, and it's going to look good when it's done. Now this is the cool stuff about this. It's been about 7 minutes and it's dry already. This is a chemical dry. This is not an air dry. I don't know if you can see, but we got storm clouds coming and it's moist as heck out here. But this is a chemical dry. It's got 2-part chemical in it and it dries almost immediately. That's why you can come out and you can keep dusting this thing with coat after coat after coat and just build up on the previous coats so you get nice and thick. And it's dry to the touch in, I don't know, 7-10 minutes. But because it's a chemical dry, it takes about 24 hours to completely cure. And when it does, it's as durable as they say it is. It becomes rock hard. You can take your keys and scratch on it, and it's going to stay textured. The only thing that will happen to it over time is that it will fade. When you first put it on and it dries completely, it's a matte black, but really it's got a little bit of shine to it. And because it's textured, when the sun hits it, it acts almost like a crystal. And it refracts the light. So it's dull, but it has a shine to it. And over time, in the sun, in this case it's a motorcycle, so if this thing is kept outside, it will fade to just a matte black, like I showed on the fender in the beginning of the video. But I think I prefer the matte black. Now, if you want it to be shinier, I personally have not done it, but I have seen, and in fact, when I was at the store today, I saw that they sell a clear form of this. This, if you buy it in the 2-part, you can buy it tintable. So you can make this any color you want. You can take it to any auto parts place and they'll tint it for you. So you can go any color you want. I've seen this in yellow, green, white, gold, blue. And in fact, at the store right now, they started selling this in white. I could have bought this in white today. And they sell a clear lacquer that goes over top of it, and it'll actually make it shiny. So it's textured, but it's shiny. Now that's about half a can, maybe a little more than half a can. And that's 2 really good coats. I'm gonna save this for a 3rd coat, which will be a really, really light coat. And I don't know how well you can see that. I can't really see the camera because it's too bright out here. But hopefully you can see the texture on that. You definitely cannot see any sandpaper lines, anything like that. And I went clear down around the tank. A lot of this particular tank is going to be covered up. There is an instrument gauge panel that goes along here. Big gauge panel, big silver panel. I think it's got the speedometer. I don't even remember. It's been so long. But you're definitely, you can't see any of the marks that were there before. You can't see anything but texture. And this stuff is beautiful. Now around this round spot right here on the bulbous part of the tank, it doesn't look as textured as the rest of the tank, and that's why I'm going to save what's left in that can. And when it dries, I'm just going to dust these spots right here. This side's better. I'm going to dust this round bulbous part on both sides, the butt cheeks, and make sure that they're textured as well. So I'll just do light dustings of pure texture until I get it to stick, and then it will be good to go. So that's it. Tomorrow when it's dry, I will be able to put this on the bike. So the next time you see it, I will have put the filler cap back on it. And underneath is a fuel petcock that I took off because it was leaking and it broke, and I got to order a new one from Amazon. Thankfully they're about 12 bucks. So it's getting a new fuel shut off and line down to the carburetor, and that gets bolted in from underneath. But then the fuel cap is just silver, and in this case it bolts on. So I'm going to clean that up and shine it up, and that'll get put back on. Just bolts on like so. Don't want to lose my screws. And the next time you see it, it'll be dry. It'll be over 24 hours since it's cured, and hopefully I can get a little bit better light, maybe direct sunlight from over top, and we'll be able to show you the texture on this thing. And it comes out beautifully. And I want the bike to match. And if you look at the bike, it has no front fender. It just didn't come with one. So it has a rear fender, back chaw, and that's what that is. And this was the crappy $7 stuff from Walmart, and it's held up in the rain and stuff for a year, stuff falling on it and everything. So I'm going to wash that in a minute, and I'm probably going to put a coat of what's left in there on that as well, give it some texture and a freshen up. But that's it. Then the fender and the fuel tank go back on. The seat will get cleaned and put back on. The carburetor is going to go back on. The instrument panel is going to go back on. Rear tail light, stuff like that. And I'm going to show you most of that stuff. And we're going to put this sucker back together when the carburetor gets on it and it's ready to rock. We're going to take it for a ride. So this was just, you know, how to sand and raptor liner parts of the bike. And there'll be more videos to come. Thanks for stopping by. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't. We just broke 900. See you soon. I just want to show you that I did go ahead and clean that with some soapy water. Actually, I lie. I just cleaned it with regular water, no soap. Rinsed it off, dried it off, and coated it again. Kind of, I love that look. It looks like the head off of an alien, right? From the Alien versus Predator and whatnot. I just love that shape. But I went ahead and coated that too, and I'm about to take it inside and let it dry. The rain is getting closer. Clouds are coming and the thunder is rolling, and you can see there's a lot of overspray. That's the wood that I had holding the tank up, and believe it or not, that was underneath of the tank, but it is what it is. Overspray happens. That's my trash can, so it doesn't matter. And I just have it hanging up so that it can dry in here and cure for the next 24 hours. I will not touch these. Probably it's about 6 o'clock, I think. So I won't touch these tomorrow at all. I don't have to. I have to order the carburetor, and I'm going to probably do things like check the tires. Hey, kitty, kitty, kitty. All right, you're still skittish around me, huh? You're fine, baby girl. There's a little bit of rust here from sitting outside for the last year. I need to free up these mirrors and clean them up, so that's probably what I'll work on tomorrow, getting the rust off of this stuff with some Coca-Cola and some green scrubby pad and some Brillo, and clean up the seat and get it treated with some vinyl cleaner, bring it back. And that's what I'll be working on tomorrow while I wait for the carburetor to get here. But I just wanted you to see that 1 can of that stuff, I only put 2 good coats on this fender, and of course it's not that big. It's only 2.5 feet long. I don't know if I can get a picture with my arm in there, but it's about 2.5 feet long. And I got 2 good coats on that and 3 or 4 on the tank before I ran out. So if you're worried about doing your motorcycle and you're worried whether 1 can's gonna do it or not, there's no primer. They do sell primer for this, but I've never used it. Give it a sanding. Give it 3, 4, 5 coats depending on where it is and what kind of wear it gets. 1 can will do the important stuff. Now, if I wanted to do the plastic cowlings down there, I could, but I don't think I'm going to. I just wanted the tank and the fender to be that way. It'll be a nice contrast flat black. So, thanks for watching.